We're live. Hi, everybody. What a fun morning it is. Beautiful Sunday here in Long Beach. Or, Sarah, where are you at?
I'm in upstate New York, about 5 hours away from New York City, and it's
Ah,
snowing today, so we're
snowing.
inside.
Nice. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Welcome to welcome to Learn to Skate Live, Learn to Freestyle Skate Live. Today I'm here with Sarah. Sarah, how do I pronounce your last name, Sarah? It's Sarah Park-Matott, or am I pronouncing that
Matat.
correctly? Matot. Thank you. Well, okay,
Yeah, you
we're here
actually
with
are the
Sarah.
best at pronouncing my name.
I remember like getting, you were in a live stream, or maybe I sent a board to you or something, and your handle was Park Matot, and I was just pronouncing it all as one word, like a total
That's how I pronounced
genius.
it.
Spark
Yeah, I pronounced it Spark Matat, so
Matot. Cool, awesome. I wasn't too far off
just
then.
put it together.
I try, I always try. Well, we're here skating, and I wanted to do an episode with Sarah because Sarah, you can tell the world more about what you do in skating in a bit, but I was just stoked to see progress and to see the trick tips and the stuff you're doing to bring everybody together, and I felt like what you offer with your skate trick tips and what you've been posting lately has just been such an important part of the freestyle community. So I wanted to take a morning, skate with you, talk about freestyle, and maybe teach some more people how to do this thing. But
Yeah,
you
and I'm
can do
super stoked that you invited me.
yeah. But tell us about you. Like who are you? When you started skating? Why did you start freestyling? Go off.
Yeah, so thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for inviting me. I was beyond stoked and super honored that you asked me to come here because first of all, you're the reason that I started freestyling in the first place. I was actually going to learn how to do longboard because when I was a kid, I was really into skating, or at least I wanted to be. But I have a rock driveway. I could only practice in that like little carpeted spot, so I didn't really learn anything except for rocket dolly. But then this year, I thought about learning how to longboard. And while watching videos about longboard dancing, I came across, I think, your championship like win that run in Japan. And then something was like, oh no, that's what I've been looking for.
Cool.
And so I had to learn. I had to get a freestyle board and start freestyling in my teeny tiny room that's right over there. This is the room next to it that we set up for winter skateboarding, basically. But yeah, and then like when I started skateboarding, there's not really much of a community of for like any type of skateboarding where I am. So I was just like, I want to stay motivated to skate, and that's how I really started doing the Instagram posts like right from the beginning. And the Instagram love community is just it's beyond imagination for how warm and welcoming they are. So after a while, I just started getting tricks. And so like how I started doing the YouTube videos was just I was having like these moments where I was like oh that like made the trick click for me. I wish someone had made a video about that before or something like that. So I
Yeah.
thought, well then maybe I'll just make the video because I enjoy making videos and like recording and editing and stuff. I was just never really someone to be in front of the camera,
Hmm.
but I tried it and it's been really fun. I really enjoy making them and being part of this
That's
bigger
super awesome.
freestyle community. It's way more than I imagined.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's something different about a group of people who are posting actively online and being involved in the comment sections and all of that. It's just a totally different animal from my experience. But yeah, I think once I realized you were
Yeah,
doing
and
freestyle
like
trick tips, oh, which you've only been doing for like maybe 2 months, right?
yeah, I think I started the channel 2 or 3 months ago. And then I started with some easier, because like I don't want to post a trick tip if I don't feel really confident about the trick itself. So like I posted one for a shove it, but not a pop shove it, because I've only recently really started to get more consistent pop shove it. And then with like the switchblade, I got those pretty consistent. And so I saw like some of my friends posting about not being able to do them. And then one of them asked me, if I do it. And it's like, yeah, sure, of course. So I ended up making the switchblade video.
Cool. Yeah, that switchblade video, I think like that it's a different perspective because I've been doing trick tips for a while now, for like 2 years or something like that now. And being able to see your perspective of it, I'm like seeing all these things I miss when I go through my trick tip like regiment, my kind of like habits from the way I make scripts or just the way I put together a routine or a tutorial for freestyle tricks. I'll see all these gaps and things kind of glaze over because just my experience. I mean, being on a board for as long as I have been, there's just things I miss because I don't have the same perspective. So that was huge. And like I think for new freestylers coming into it, seeing freestyle through the lens that you present it is awesome. Because yeah, I don't know. I don't think about like to practice ollies and like the way to like scrape your foot and forward for ollies like you made it in your trick tip. So I don't mean to make this just a huge like good job moment. That's really boring to watch. But yeah, good job. But I think people out there want to
No,
see
but
tricks.
thank
I think
you.
you already had some good recommendations. Do you have any tricks that you like to work on when you can't get outside, like a lot of people can't right now?
Yeah, because like my whole first 2 months or month or two of skateboarding, I was pretty much stuck inside on a carpet too. So like for me, I spent most of the first month practicing just being in rail, all kinds of rail dances. I think that practicing in rail is like my favorite thing to do when I'm stuck inside because like you might fall down, or should we talk about it?
I was gonna illustrate while you talk through it. So rail
Well,
stands.
because like I really like being in rail because to me this is like as close as I can get to dancing, which is part of the reason why I came into freestyle. But yeah, just practicing like the boardwalks and going back and forth and jumping back is something that I think is really easy to do inside, even if like you can't like fall hard on the ground. Like I can because I'm in a basement, and like the other room is just carpeted cement as well, so it doesn't matter how hard I hit the ground. But if you can't, being in rail I think is awesome. And then right from the beginning, I also practiced all my rail from like both feet. So like when I started doing the rail, is it the rail walk or the boardwalk, right?
Yeah.
I'd go with this foot, and I'd go straight to the other foot.
Ah, okay.
So that one would not be like way weaker than the other.
Totally. So like balancing your practice or
And
trying
then
to
just,
stay balanced.
yeah, and I just try to, this is pretty much all I did for like a month. Going back and forth. And then, adding more and more as you can.
Whoa. For sure. Nice. So you're talking about rail walks. You
You know another
learn.
thing I did?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not just rail walks. Like, if you get really creative, you can do a lot of tricks inside. So I learned, like, if you can't jump onto the ground, I just learned how to get up into truck stand, and that was it.
Huh.
Like, you can just
So you
practice that
mean?
one thing coming up because you don't have to drop the board if you don't want to, if you can't.
So you're talking about just
So,
doing
like, you can
the
just
pull
practice,
and
like,
switch.
parts of tricks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the parts that you
That's
can do inside.
super
Like,
cool.
wouldn't be a problem. Or I even put socks on my wheels because in the other apartment that I'm currently living in, we have hardwood floors, but I can't scratch them. So I put socks over my wheels and I practiced kick turns.
Okay. That's the.
There's
I've
one
like been
more
with the
thing you can
skater
do.
trainers and like soft trucks and all these other things in the past to like practice without wheels, but the socks and the trucks I've never heard before. That's interesting to hear.
I didn't want to buy them, to be honest. So
Yeah,
I was like, what do I have in my house that I could use that I don't damage these floors? Because I want my deposit back. So,
perfect. All you at home who are dealing with snow
socks.
right now, I know we've had a lot of people talking about the snow or rain or even pandemic right now, keeping them inside. Yeah, there you go. Socks on the wheels. If you are inside, hopefully you can still skate. All right, so
Yep. Or you could put a.
head.
I was gonna say the other, because the weather in New York sucks. So, like, there's lots of days where I'm stuck inside, so I've gotten kind of used to it. But yoga mats work really well too, because you can't
Cool.
slam your trucks down on the ground. So, yoga mats also help.
Super good. Ooh, Young says, have you practiced rail whips at all?
Me,
Yeah. I do the hand whips where you use
I
your
have
hands to
not
whip them
yet
around.
gotten a rail whip.
What's that trick you do where you like hand whip it? I've seen that one.
Yeah. So I only ended up doing that trick because I can't do a rail whip at all. Today, when I was practicing this morning and warming up, it was actually the closest I've ever gotten because this cement is like so smooth and slippery.
Oh yeah.
So I'll show you. Like I suck at tricks. I only ever get it
Oh
to like
yeah.
halfway, and because I couldn't do the rail whip the proper way, I was just like, well, let me just use my hand. And so that's kind of how that trick came out. I just couldn't do the other trick. I'll just come down. I either grab like the middle or a little bit closer to the truck, because if you grab out here, you just end up moving your upper body a lot, and it's gonna throw
Oh
you
yeah.
off. So I found that like after I did it, I kind of experimented with like the three grips. It's like being either in the middle or even closer to your foot if you can. You just move your shoulder a lot less. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if I can do one, but
No rush.
let's see. To
You
there.
got the full 360
It's
on that
actually
one.
harder to do on the dancer because like
Interesting.
it's so stable in rail. I can do it a lot easier on the mode board.
Oh nice. I'm heartbroken.
Because it like grips the ground so well, and I don't do rail whips, so like I don't like shave the wood down as I do them.
Yeah. Ow. That feels good.
So there was almost one.
That one. That was good. You're
Ah,
welcome, YouTube.
but yeah, that one's a lot of fun.
Nice.
There we go.
I'm gonna hold off. Save my wrist, which I just fell on again. Oh, um,
Yeah.
see, I love when we can find like the sort of um, I guess like tricks that allow us to make certain tricks work. It doesn't really make sense, but like for this scenario, rail whips just weren't really getting the whip you needed. So just playing around with different like hand whip variation. I love that freestyle has so many things, that many different tricks that you can kind of weasel around harder tricks with.
Yes,
Um, Thinking about like street
for
skating
sure.
and
I love that.
yeah, yeah. What so what other tricks were you doing when you were stuck inside, or now when you're stuck inside? Are you learning anything? Do you have any tips for maybe some skaters out there who are also stuck who might need tricks to work on? I think we got some requests for like
I
finger
would
flips
think,
even.
yeah, you can do those inside. Like it just depends like what you can do inside your home.
True.
because it's gonna be so different, like what you can do in an apartment. So like when I was here, I could do like practice saran wraps and stuff or whatever I wanted because I was on concrete. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can, I would practice all pivots and endovers if you can inside.
Ooh.
Endovers were like the trick that gave me the best balance ever.
Huh.
During
Why do you
every
think?
single time I warm up with endovers.
Yeah. So endovers, you're talking about the kind of off the nose and then in the same direction off the tail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do them both ways. So like
Both.
when I would skate in that park, I would do endovers one way down and then the other way back.
And then.
And so like I would do those with socks on my trucks.
With socks in the trucks. You can still roll socks on the truck.
I know.
Cool.
A little bit, yeah.
Works.
You can roll a little bit with those. But yeah, I love endovers for warming up, or if you can do them inside your house, yeah, I would do those for sure. There's also like getting into truck stand, any kind of I feel like you can do most like truck stand like the middle of it inside. Like if you just wanted to practice like switching your feet, that's something you can do as long as you don't throw the board on the ground.
Yeah, right. So you're
Right?
talking about starting on the
If you
foot
can.
and then just doing the hop?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, because I learned most of my saran wrap inside.
Mm. And
And I learned it on carpet.
that motion?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I took it a lot slower than that. All I would do is I would just kick out and come back.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I'd start. Because, like, for me, all my tricks, I try to break them down as much as I can into as tiny little pieces as possible. So, like, for that, I would just go back and forth. And then after I could do that, I would go back and then back this way.
Ah.
And then once I
So
felt
at that
like
point, you're not.
it's really good, I would do it.
So it's less about doing forward motion and more about just doing the smallest sort of chunk and like the smallest breakdown you can, the balance and the muscle memory of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of it?
It's really the foundational tricks that I think that are good inside.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the foundational
Totally.
little parts of each trick.
Yeah.
Instead of doing like 1,000 of like this thing, I only had to do like 100 of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like really confident in that motion. So
Totally.
that's how I
Yeah,
got
that's
those.
something that I try to teach. Something I try to teach with the trick is like, especially for the pogos or the truck stands. I think it's easy to try to learn every component, like the pull up and the drop down, all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for people to sort of just default to trying to learn it all at once. But I'm always trying to slow people down with just practicing, like you were saying, standing truck or just doing the hand motion. That switch
Yeah.
over with the hands is such a difficult concept. Like doing that and then doing that with the step up and then trying to move on to going from the nose to the step up. It's like there's so many moving parts there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like,
I
did you do that the same way?
Not the same exact way, but similarly, for like freestyle tricks in particular, I almost learn all of them from the end.
Oh,
So like I never start almost from the beginning of a trick.
yeah.
I don't know why, but it's so much easier for me so like when I learned how to do the truck stand, I just did that. That's all I did for until like I felt good about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stood on it and did it. And then once I felt good doing that is when I actually started trying to move this over here. Because then every time I failed doing that, I could just step back up and then flip out.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that ending. So like I had a solid ending, and for me that was a really big confidence builder
Totally.
that I could get out of the trick. The Caspers are the same. I just practice getting out of it before I practice getting into it.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's my thing, is going from the end of the trick and then working back to the beginning.
Cool. So for people at home, make a point of this. So with trucks like or tricks like the truck stand, like captors, things where you're changing stances, it can take time to start from the dismount, start with the ending of the trick, and really get confident with that before you start thinking about how to get into it, how to like hop in a pogo, whatever else. Think about the ending first. That's huge.
Yeah, I think the ending's almost a little bit easier because you're just flipping out of it. And so like
Mm-hmm.
once you start feeling confident flipping out of it, I feel like you're a little bit more motivated to keep trying because you're like, I can get out. I just have to figure how to get in.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's a lot of it. I just start feeling good about like, oh, I know I'm close because I can get out of it. I just have to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like taking the hardest part first, right? Like not saving that for the ending. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
For
That's
me,
an
it's easier
interesting.
to get out.
Yeah. So did you do the same thing when you were learning like rail stands? When you were doing rail stands for the first time, whether it was the tail stop version or the little pressure flip version? Were you doing the dismount before you learned how to do that intro or that mount motion?
I think I did.
Cool.
Because I know like even when you try to get into rail stands, like you fail a lot.
Yeah.
And so like if I failed, if I just like got to get into it, that oh no, I would just set it
Yeah.
back up and then I'd flip out.
So you had to do that
I
flip
didn't
motion
start
a
from the
lot.
beginning. Even if I
So it would be
messed
a
it
lot of
up.
like
It's harder this way because you
awkward.
fall. What was that?
No, I'm sorry. I was saying so you end up kind of over rotating it and going to the grip shape side on accident a lot, right? When you're first learning.
Yeah. I think, or even sometimes you just kind of get like stuck. Or so if you run up into rail and then like you lose your balance and you step off, I would always just step back on and practice the dismount first.
Totally.
Or well,
Totally.
in that order.
Cool. Let's see. Yeah. That was one that was like a total game changer for me. So like getting into freestyle and probably like my first like year or so of doing it. I mean, being able to jump on rail and figure out like, exactly what you're saying, kind of that being able to stand on it and keep my balance and get comfy again. Game
Mm-hmm.
changer because that was to me like freestyle. That was like how to be a freestyler was to be able to stand on the side of the board and then just do something.
Yeah.
Whether it was a flip or just walking on the rail, that was a big one for me. And that's why I've been teaching that one to everybody on trick tips. Yeah, it's like it'll just is the easiest way to be like you can call yourself a freestyler then, right? Like rail stand.
Mm-hmm. And like if you spend all winter just practicing like rail walks and boardwalks and like spins or even spinning like on your toes on the wheels, that's another thing you can
Mm-hmm.
do. I haven't done these in so long, so I can't. I used to, when I started freestyling, like 7 months ago now, I could do toe spin within like the first month. But I haven't really done it since then because I was practicing everything else. So I lost it. But that's another thing you can learn inside and like really
Yeah,
practice.
I
If
mean,
you
I
do
haven't
that
done one of
all
those.
winter, by the time you come outside in like the spring, you'll be so stable in rail that you can probably do anything you want to that summer.
Seriously,
Whether it be like
I'm
flips or
I'm gonna struggle here with uneven concrete. See if I can get one. What are you doing? Oh, I really can't do this today. Maybe I can. Give it a couple more tries.
Yeah, I couldn't do them either this morning.
So what happens in the camera. Ugh. See, I say I keep on the live streams because I want them to share what they're working on and all this, but really I just don't want to skate. I want to make other people skate instead of me. That's the real reasoning.
It's a good rest for your wrist, so it's a pretty good idea.
I didn't spend at least one trick on every episode falling your wrist. That would be helpful.
I fell pretty hard this morning trying to get used to this. This is smooth concrete, and I've never skated on something like this before.
Oh man.
That was
Nice.
slick. So I feel that.
Sure.
I didn't want to fall today, but I'm ready if I do. I'm all pads up.
Well, I'm glad I beat you to it on the stream at least. But all right, let's go to some questions from the audience. We got a ton of chat going right now. We got Jane coming on. Hey, Jane. Sarah fan club. A lot of call-outs. Marky. Let's see. Mark Johnson was it? No, it's my left hand.
Jane.
So it's my right hand on the stream. I think it's reversed. Go Sarah. Lots of love for Sarah in the stream. Let's see. Jacob Hughes says.
I can't even stress how amazing the freestyle community is.
It's pretty great. Let's see. I got really close to Toastmans last week. I should work on them in the garage. Work on them anywhere. In the grass, in the garage, on some carpet. Make it happen.
Work on them inside. I found doing it in carpet was a little bit more stable. Because it's just like a tiny bit of grip.
Interesting. Do you practice a lot of tricks on carpet before you take them to the concrete, or just like a winter bad weather type thing?
Well, because I was stuck here. I was in this apartment in the winter, or in the spring when the weather was bad, so I was skating inside because I don't really have another place to skate. But then once I went back to my other apartment, which is by my work, I can't skate inside because it's like a real apartment that I can't damage or do anything in. So I had to skate outside every time, which is why I was skating in the snow the other day.
Gotcha. Always fun trying to find that salted parking lot, right? Or whatever you can find.
The little basketball court that I use.
Yeah. All right. So, let's see. There's so many comments. Oh my gosh, everybody. I'm so sorry I haven't answered all of these yet. So a lot of love for the way you break down tips. I think the one that stood out most in the trick tips you've done so far have been the Ollie trick tip. And that's not necessarily a freestyle trick, but I feel like the way you break down Ollies is a really great way for totally people who've never touched a skateboard before or aren't familiar with how it works. Would you mind breaking down how you learn how to Ollie, how you teach people how to Ollie in the stream?
Yeah. So when I was a kid and I really, really wanted to skateboard and was obsessed with it, but didn't learn how, it was pre-YouTube, so there weren't there was one tutorial on all of YouTube at the time about how to Ollie, and I didn't learn how to Ollie correctly. So this summer, it was my goal to get my Ollie from here, this super rocketed Ollie, to even. And so I just kept trying to figure out what would do that? What could I do that would actually trick my body into doing something correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And also then once I started doing that, people started asking me, like, how are you improving your Ollie? Which I did basically through like, because I record every session, so I'd go back frame by frame and be like, where's my Ollie not Ollieing? And that's when I figured out that like every single time I'd Ollie, and I'd say most beginners I see Ollie, your foot goes up like this. Because, I mean, Braille has an amazing, I think they have like e-skate tutorial about Ollies that everyone pretty much reiterates in most of the other, YouTube like tutorial videos where they drag their foot up and then they use a little push out, and that's pretty much like the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But once you actually Ollie, your foot ends up looking like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of just like, you do one of those, and most people can't figure out. They're like, I'm sliding my foot up the board, because it started here and it ended here. I don't understand. But like when your foot goes up with the board, it kind of comes up together. So you're not actually pushing the board forward at all. I think that's the piece that's like missing for most people, is that nudge forward. Or I think it's either the nudge forward or like the pop itself. Because if you teach someone to pop like this, every single time your foot touches the ground. And you don't get used to like the real pop, which is just like pushing your ankle straight into the ground and not actually touching the ground. I think that's really hard for most beginners. And also because like I don't have strong ankles or strong calves.
Yeah.
Like when I tried to learn how to Ollie for the first time, I just didn't have the strength to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really didn't, and so I just started practicing that. Like just popping it off the ground. And, like not letting my foot touch the ground.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily that, like you
What
were
was your
saying, that
question?
sort of hard. It wasn't necessarily that hard, like pound that you're talking about. It was more about getting that ankle motion, feel for the way that your ankle has to snap, right?
Yeah. It's really getting your foot used to that snap and bringing your like foot up, which you can do just by popping the ground off the board, pulling it up, and bringing it back down. And so I wanted to learn how to do a switch Ollie, and that's where I kind of like perfected this method, was trying to learn the switch Ollie. And so I used all these steps, like popping the board, and try to get like one pop, like that. Just one really good pop. And then once you're really good at that, it's going to be a lot easier when you go to actually Ollie, and you can pop the board at least well. And then after you can pop the board, getting your ankle to go this way is really like the finishing touch. Because when most people learn and they slide up the board like this, they really just have to get their foot out. That's it. That is the part that is actually dragging, or well, pulling the backdrop.
Okay. So you feel like that part.
So that's why I made the method.
Yeah. Sorry. So you feel like that ankle drag, extra drag of foot, is what was maybe holding you back when you said that you had more rocket ollies? You just weren't dragging forward?
Yeah. So like I could pop the board off the ground, but my foot would just come up like this. But once I realized, and I saw this in one of the videos that I took, that when I got my foot to kind of move past this angle is when the truck started to come off the ground. Like that's when it started to level out. Like the more this foot came over here, the better my Ollie was. And so that's how I came up with like what would like the absolute beginner need to do to learn how to Ollie? Well, if you can't do this, you probably can't Ollie yet. Like I started from ground zero. Because you gotta be comfortable. If you're gonna Ollie and jump onto your board, but you don't know what to do, you're gonna have a really tough time. just going to take a lot longer, I think.
Totally.
Yeah, so I really tried to break it down to like the smallest things you could do to really just train and trick your body into doing the trick.
Cool.
So like starting with hippie jumps so that you're super comfortable, like really comfortable doing that.
So there were what, 3 or 4 key steps, right? Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I think I said 5, but some
5.
of them
Okay.
are like they're like hazy. So it just starts out with the hippie jump. The higher you can hippie jump, the better that you're going to be going forward. So you can do this, you're super ready to jump on your board.
Right.
And I think the second step was just the braille step. Because it is important. It's really important, I think. Bringing your foot up, turning your ankle, and then trying to like make your board vibrate just a little bit and push forward so that you're getting used to your ankle doing that, or even just like letting it swing. Like you really want that to go past 90 degrees with the ground. And then after that, it was just working on popping the board up. Oops, too hard. And it kind of gives you like a feel for how hard you should pop or what that really feels like. And then when you start bringing your knee up while you do it, you also make that muscle memory to bring your back foot up. So you pop it and bring your foot up together. And then the next step is was a caveman. So the caveman looks suspiciously like an Ollie. So doing the caveman really kind of gives you that like a nice little, it's like a nice little smooth motion. So you can just pop it up, whoops, pop it up, swing it out, and jump back on. And you have like this nice little circle that you can practice over and over again. And even when you do the caveman, it's kind of like that Ollie motion almost. In the middle, they look like they could be the same trick. In my video, I had like a little pause so you can see that. And I think after you can do all of those really confidently, once you move on to the Ollie, it'll be much easier than if you had just like tried 1,000 times. Which most people do, is what I did. Because it took me forever to learn how to Ollie, but it did not take that long to learn how to switch Ollie. So, yeah, I had fun making that and trying to figure that out. It's like a puzzle for me.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
that's huge. I mean, yeah, the being able to break it down like that for somebody, like you said, somebody who is coming from ground zero, from zero experience skating, from the confidence you get from jumping the board, doing the hippie jump, or from the caveman to trying to develop that like thought process of just how to the tail without doing the kind of paddle foot pound that most people do when they ollie. It attacks all of those sort of beginner problems people have. So that was really cool.
And I think
I
like
think
we're always
if
in such a rush.
yeah, totally,
Like you're in
totally.
such a rush, and I feel like there's a little bit of like a stigma against beginner tricks, which would be the caveman or, you know, like jumping up and stomping on your board or a hippie jump. It's like, or even a Casper. I once saw a comment that was like, don't waste your time with them. You should be practicing ollies. That's pretty much exactly what they said. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
no, no, those are the foundational tricks. If you get those down, when you move forward to harder tricks, you'll learn them so much faster.
totally.
Like
It's
the
something
more
that
foundational tricks I learn, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So footwork too, right? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Uh,
No, no, no.
but I feel like the same thing with footwork. Whether it's like walk the dogs or editors, I feel like that muscle memory and sort of the the tools you develop learning those tricks play such an important role when it comes to things like frontside flips or whatever tricks you're working on.
Yeah, and like the endovers, they were so helpful because when once I started getting like really good at endovers, they saved me from falling all the time. Because like if I learned a trick, or if I was trying to do a trick and I landed like this, and I could just spin back, you do that little tic tac out of it so that you don't fall. I can do that in every direction.
Yeah.
So like when learning how to like practicing frontside 180s or some like other flat ground tricks. Excuse me, I have something caught in my throat.
Okay.
Like it was so helpful to be able to pivot in any direction.
Yeah.
Just so that I didn't eat it like all the time.
Yeah. I think I'm like extra guilty of that. If you like watch most of my clips, I'll do some sort of a backward monster walk or some sort of an end over out of like every trick because I just naturally fall backwards or fall forwards out of everything.
And I think that's fine though. I love it. I love endovers, and I never feel bad about tic-tacking out of a trick. Or like, oh, it wasn't clean. I was like, it was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just try better next time, I guess. Like, there's no shame in tic-tacking, and I don't know. I'm really positive on my outlook of skateboarding and like how it is and how you do it. And like, if you're having fun, if you can't do a trick, do it a different way. You know, just try stuff. That's how I ended up with the hand roll whip, and like I've gotten a ton of people who's like, I've never seen that. How'd you do it? You know, just I feel like trying the stuff that you can't do in a different way is sometimes really helpful. Or like starting from the end if you're struggling with the beginning.
Like that's how we get tricks like I mean like the Ollie even or like the airwalk where we have people taking to do the more conventional way and trying to approach them in a way that suits them more. It's like why Tony Hawk was doing ollies out of vert because he was too small to air out. He couldn't make the momentum to do full airs out without popping his tail. And we see that in so many other skaters where they just have to get around their like natural weaknesses or shortcomings. Looked at from like a conventional standpoint. And it's like that's how we get creative skating, how we get better tricks or new tricks.
No, that's so true. But also because like every single person's body is really different. So I have like really small feet. So like every single time I saw a trick tip, they'd be like, put your toe here, and I'd be like, over here?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't seem like that would work. That doesn't look the same on my skateboard. It's like seriously, every time I learn like a foot positioning, which is part of what happened with like the switchblade, if my feet were bigger, I feel like I could switchblade differently, or that I'd have to. If my feet were bigger, I feel like my toe could hang off the end of the nose more, or the tail. Because they're not, if I do that, my foot's really narrow, so the board's definitely going to slide right out from underneath the side of my foot. But if I had wide feet, I could get away with that because my foot would still pin it down. So like really, I think that like playing with foot positioning and all the stuff that you're learning is really important. Which is how I ended up with switchblading in like the middle of my board instead of the side. Because I was just I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. I'd always just land in a way that wasn't comfortable for me. I don't know if like right here. I don't know if you can see it, but whenever my heel was here, I've seen freestylers land here though and like perfectly come out of it, and like for me this just wasn't it.
No.
And that's the thing I love about freestyle, that I don't have to do it that way. And so if anyone else wanted to practice this way, I wanted to make that trick tip. Because that was...
Yeah, and that's something I have to be better about in my trick tips, I think, is making things a lot more accessible and more open to how people's bodies are. So this is a huge learning experience for me to like.
That's what, yeah.
To remember that.
It is tough. I think it's kind of natural to think that other people do stuff similar to the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
And, or like you wouldn't think about like, well, how would this trick be different if their feet were a lot smaller than mine are? You wouldn't typically think about that. So I just try to emphasize in the stuff that I made, like, seriously, experiment. Even with the handrail width, experiment how far up the board is comfortable for you to grab.
Yeah. We're all, we're all kind of making our way through tricks. It's a crazy experience. I hope everybody at home is finding a lot of help and things like here with what we're talking about with these tricks. I probably cut this off soon because honestly my phone is gonna die. I am so sorry. But we covered so much already. Is there anything else you want to share? I know, we've only just kind of cracked the surface of what your skating experience has been like and the things you're working on. But any other points? I know you had some things you wanted to mention regarding freestyle skating in the last, you said 7 months of you skating. Is that how long it's been? Yeah. Crazy. It's almost long.
Yeah. I would emphasize, because I know a couple people asked us to do finger flips or hand flips. Yeah. I would emphasize the thing about your body once more, because I've been doing tail stop to tail stop finger flips recently. And what I realized is that every time I did them, and I do them with my backhand, that they would flip over here.
So they would roll.
And so I just took advantage of that because I knew it would go there every single time. So I would just start making sure my body was ready to land over here and not in front of me.
Okay.
So when you do those,
you're talking
because you have two options, to fix your arm or to fix your body.
Yeah, right. You just kind of can adjust by anticipating that rotation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would suggest doing that. If they're coming over here, just anticipate that it's gonna go there, and be ready to land that way. That's what I did, and I started getting them a lot more consistently than trying to catch it over here.
Yeah. Okay, so, and you're talking about, heel side finger flips, right? Or heel flip direction finger flips, correct? So
yeah.
Flipping the board.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then with those, do you stand with your feet both kind of up the length of the toe, so kind of facing the nose like this? Or
when I do tail to tail, yeah. Yeah, I did them this way.
Okay. You're just trying to turn with it. There goes my wrist. But yeah, you're trying to turn with it to anticipate the board's going to rotate.
Come over here.
Backside. That way. Interesting.
Yeah. Or when it even came to doing it to bolts, when I tried to learn finger flipping to bolts again, which was really tough, I could only get them after doing knee tuck jumps, because when I reviewed the footage, I saw every single time I hit my toes. When I do them I do them on my nose. I probably won't be able to do it. Well, they go this way too, but I would just do actual knee tuck jumps a few times, just to remind my body to jump higher, and then I would try to do them. Because, yeah, see, like, my foot would always get caught either on the wheel or the side of the board. And doing the knee tuck jumps, like, actually really helped. If I can get one. See? I don't know why that works. But it does.
All pressure on you.
Like, really just pay attention to your body.
Nice. That's what it's about.
That's like what I want people to learn or to think about.
Pay attention to your body.
Yeah.
Be aware of that kind of stuff. That's huge. Well, thank you, everybody out there who's been watching this, tuned into the live stream. Thank you for being here, Sarah. Thank you for everything, for the help you gave today, for kind of providing perspective on skating and learning how to skate. And yeah, any last words, shout outs, or anything you want to tell people at home?
First, just thank you so much for inviting me. Obviously, you got me into freestyling, and it's been an honor to virtually skate with you. And I'm really, really grateful for all the amazing people who like are in the freestyle community, because they really, like, they're just, I know them all by name. Like, I can list them out, and it's just amazing. I got so many like sweet personal messages or direct messages when we said I was gonna be on here, and that outpouring of like love and support has been phenomenal. And I don't think I've ever seen such like a positive community on the internet. And I'm just really happy to be a part of it.
Me too. We can continue to.
So thank you so much, and thank everyone who's here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you soon. See you next Sunday for another live stream. Keep letting us see your progress. We love seeing you. I can't speak for anyone else, but I love seeing the progress people are making on their boards. Keep it up.
I love seeing it.
We'll see you next Sunday. And we'll see you for another skate live. Keep dancing, y'all. Ugh.